Manchester City are looking to continue their perfect start to the Premier League campaign, having won all of our games so far this season. There's only been 3. I'm getting a bit carried away there. There's only been 3. But, there's only one other side that's done that. So the Premier League table is looking pretty right now, with Manchester City currently sat top. And we face Brentford this Saturday. 3 o'clock kickoff in the UK time. Come and join me for a barnstorming watch-along. That barnstorming came out of nowhere, that didn't it? But a barnstorming watch-along this promises to be, so come and join me for that one. I'm incredibly excited for this game, but will we have to do it without Erling Haaland? That is not a prospect that bothered me too much last season. I felt like City were very capable of going into a game and confidently saying that we can still win it. Of course we can still win it without Erling Haaland. I still feel confident that we could win it without Erling Haaland. But it's not as confident because we no longer have Julian Alvarez in our squad. So, will the Bees have a sting in their tail for Manchester City? Of course, they were the last team to beat Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. That was, of course, 2 years ago. But they've always been a problem for Manchester City. Pep's pre-match press conference, which is an absolute mouthful. You have to take your time with that one. Pep's pre-match press conference was an interesting listen. Of course, that it's all going to start with the 115 charges. And it's good to see the City fans out there are all getting on board with defending the club. Finally, 115 charges is finally being defended by the majority of City fans out there. Where have you been? Do you know what I mean? Where have you guys been? Because I think the Leicester case has given a little bit of confidence to Manchester City fans in seeing that maybe the Premier League isn't quite cut out for this job. Maybe they're a big sack of shit that don't know what they're doing. Maybe. Did anyone think of that possibility? No, I don't think they did. Not the reasonable people did, of course. But all the average football fans, they fully backed the Premier League. That's the horse you're backing, is it? The Premier League. Well done, you. Congratulations on backing that horse. Brentford, however, and will we have to do it without Erling Haaland? That is, of course, the main question. And the tragic news that is recently surfaced with his close family friend, Ivar Egge, passing away. Alfie Haaland's best man, I believe, as well. Haaland family is obviously very close to this man. And it's tragic news. Pep, in his pre-match press conference, said that we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see whether Haaland's mentally... He did say physically. I presume that was just a slip of the tongue. I don't think there's anything physically wrong with Erling Haaland, but it's the mental side of the game. You lose a loved one. He's known as an uncle. He's not an actual uncle. He's not a blood relative in any way, but it doesn't take away from the fact of how important that person may be to Erling Haaland. So if he's suffering, you have to accept that the man will need time to get over this situation and understand the situation. I'm hoping he's okay. I'm hoping Haaland can play and play for him. Do you know what I mean? Go on the pitch and score some goals and lift up your shirt and have some message for him. Something like that is what I'm hoping for to see. That's what I want to see from Erling Haaland. But if he chooses to say, no, I want to take the time off and just deal with it, grieve for a little bit. I understand that, and every City fan, I'm sure, will be completely understanding about that scenario, and I wish him all the best in that particular situation. But 45 games at the Etihad Stadium are unbeaten right now, and as I've said, and as Pep said, and was highlighted in his press conference, that the last team to beat Manchester City in 90 minutes at the Etihad Stadium was Brentford. Now, at the time, they had Ivan Toney, and that's a very dangerous football player that you've got to look after there, that is quick, agile, big, physical presence, and I'm surprised he's not made a move to another Premier League club. I'm shocked at that, I really am. But make no mistake about it, Mbeumo and Wissa are lethal. They are lethal players. I think those front two are dangerous players, man. They really are. I think in the midfield, as the team works further back towards Mark Flecken in goal for Brentford, it gets weaker and weaker. I think their defence is a little bit shaky. I imagine they're probably going to play 5 at the back. But, Brentford, they've got off to a very good start. They've won 3 in 4 games in all competitions this season, having lost to Liverpool only, which is, of course, there is no shame in that. Liverpool are a very dangerous team, especially at Anfield, but you come into the Etihad, I expect City to win the game with or without Haaland. It will be a lot harder without Haaland because it was a 1-0 win last season after Christopher Ayer slipped on the halfway line in the second half, if you remember that. Haaland broke away and made it 1-0. The game finished 1-0. Erling Haaland was the difference. So we're hoping that Erling Haaland is okay and he's mentally got the capacity to play the game. And he could make the difference once again. He's made the difference this season for Manchester City. So he is a difference maker. A massive, massive player. But they're poor away from home. Brentford. They are poor away from home last season. Since the start of last season, they have lost the most away games in the entirety of the Premier League. That's 13 games since the start of last season. So they do not travel well. And in fact, they lost their last 5 away games to sides that finished in the top 4. So again, they're not good travellers. They have been struggling away from home. Of course, they lost already this season away from home to Liverpool. But you just never know. You don't want to get cocky against Brentford. It's these sort of fixtures that bother me more than we've got Chelsea coming up, or we've got United, or Liverpool, or Arsenal. There's no need to worry about motivation from anyone in this Manchester City squad. But the area of the pitch, or the mentality rather than the pitch, is these sorts of games where it's not as easy. You think it's a foregone conclusion because it's Brentford. Brentford, who are 6th in the table right now, and like I've already said multiple times, they've got off to a good start this season. But ultimately, it's going to prove to be a difficult game for City, and I don't think it will be a whitewash. I'll be surprised if City get a 3-goal advantage. We have won, I think it's our last 5 games by more, no, 12, sorry, 5, what am I talking about? 12 games by 2 or more goals, which was a Premier League record, by the way. So, unbelievable. The records that we're breaking are actually, they're genuinely unbelievable. How many are listed, year on year that are being broken. And when they're being broken, the previous holder of that record was us. Do you know what I mean? We're breaking our own records now. And it's incredible to see what we're doing. Right, team news. As highlighted by Pep, I wanted to wait for Pep this time. I thought I'd chill out a little bit. Just rather than do it, because a lot of the time I have to do it before the pre-match Pep press conference. But I thought I'd wait for this one. Oscar Bob is the obvious one. He's out. Nathan Ake is out and reportedly until the next international break, which is a big, big blow. I mean, that's the Watford game. When those fixtures pile in and we face Arsenal, then Watford and then Newcastle, that area is where Nathan Ake would be absolutely vitally be used in that part of the season. And going forward, there'll be multiple times where we'll need to rotate Gvardiol on that left side of the defence. So it's a big blow, whether he would have started or not. It's a big, big blow. He wouldn't have started this game for me. I think Gvardiol has absolutely made that position his own. Good news, Foden, Savinho and Rodri are all okay. He only mentioned Foden and Rodri, but Savinho was photographed in training, involved in the football side of training as well, so not fitness side of things. It was playing football with the first team, so that to me indicates that we pretty much have a fully fit squad except for Bob and Ake, which is great news. Brentford, Igor Thiago out, Josh Da Silva is out, Aaron Hickey, Gustavo Nunes, Matthias Jensen, which is a big blow, that one for them. Strong midfielder for them, very important to their midfield. He's out. So I imagine that's probably going to see Mikkel Damsgaard come in for Matthias Jensen. Rico Henry's a doubt as well. He was out for 12 months prior to this, and it's a completely separate situation where he's picked up a knock, so he is a doubt as well. I see you feel for him, don't you, man? After being out for 12 months, then something else happens to you. Oh, mate, got a feel for you, even though you are the opposition. Predicted starting 11. Let's go with Manchester City first of all. I'm going to go with Ederson in goal, Ruben Diaz at the back, in the middle of the back, and Gvardiol at the left side of the back three with Manuel Akanji at right centre-back. In front of them is where now it starts to, because Rodri's back, he's fit, raring to go, but Kovacic and dropping him is brutally hard. I think that's cruel. It would be cruel, but I think it's probably going to happen. Rodri played 60 minutes, well 59 actually, 59 to be precise, against Switzerland in Spain's 4-1 win. So the fact that he got an hour under his belt would be great news for Pep, because he's like, right, brilliant. You didn't use him for the full 90. Fantastic. You've respected his current circumstances, having only just come back from injury. I think Pep could throw him straight in the deep end. Or does he want to bring him on later into the game just to get him into slowly bed him in to this season with Inter Milan coming up midweek and starting against Inter Milan. Excuse me, my beef ragu seems to want to join this video. Stay down. Kovacic, I can't see him. I don't know. I'm winging it here. I'm absolutely winging it. I'm going to go with Rodri. I think Rodri will start. I think it's brutal on Kovacic, but I do think... I don't know, man. I've gone with Rodri. Let's stick with Rodri. And let me know. Get in the comments below. Do you think Kovacic should be starting this game ahead of Rodri? With Inter Milan and Arsenal also coming up, factoring that in is what I was thinking about. Throwing Rodri in, but you know what he brings. It's almost like we're going to win the game if Rodri starts. Do you know what I mean? Well, we're certainly not going to lose because this man does not lose. So I'm going to go with Rodri, but get in the comments below and let me know if you think that is too harsh and Kovacic should be the man starting. What wouldn't be harsh and is absolutely fully deserved would be Rico. Rico Lewis coming into that new, unique, inverted position for him. So not quite defensive midfielder, but more of a right-sided midfielder instead. More a part of that diamond that seems to be forming in our midfield, which I'm loving, by the way. Alongside him will be KDB. I'm hoping he can stay fit for as long as possible this season. I imagine at some point he will pick up an injury because he tends to always pick up an injury, Kevin De Bruyne. But a fully fit Kevin De Bruyne for the whole season, I think we win the league. It's quite simple. I really think he's that impactful. In front of them, now Foden's back as well. So again, this is another area of debate. Where does Foden fit into this midfield? Because you can't play him in Rico Lewis's position because Rico has the inverted job of dropping into right back. So Foden can't drop into right back. Foden can't be coming here and defending as a flat back forward. Not possible. Now, people immediately say, well, of course, Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva absolutely must be replaced for Phil Foden. But you've got to understand that Bernardo Silva's got a unique job in here. He is coming deep often to collect the ball off the back four here, or back three, rather, playing alongside Rodri occasionally, and he has got a very vertical role, Bernardo Silva, pushing and dropping in and out of this midfield. Foden never has done that in a Manchester City shirt. Very infrequently have we seen Phil Foden dropping deep to collect the ball and playing as that deep-lying playmaker. That's not a Foden job that's ever... We've certainly not seen enough evidence of that to say, oh yeah, completely trust him. Whereas Bernardo Silva, in this role, we know full well that he can do that job, and he's very, very good at it, incredibly good at it. The question for me would be, is that job even required against the likes of Brentford? Because coming collecting it off the back three tends to be the sort of job you do against away to Chelsea, like we saw Bernardo Silva do in the first game of the season, away to Arsenal, Liverpool, where it's not as easy to get out. Their press is very, very good. Brentford's press isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I imagine the majority of this game will be played in their half. Therefore, that role may not be required to actually go back and collect the ball off the back line, like Bernardo Silva would have to do, or has to do in that situation. And Foden would have to do if we were playing against a better team that keeps us further back towards our own goal. I still think he's going to stick with Bernardo Silva. Foden's not played any football. Well, he came on against Chelsea, didn't he, in the first game of the season? But since then, he's been ill, so he's not played enough minutes for me to be trusting him to be throwing into a starting 11. Maybe, you never know. Pep will obviously have the final say, of course. But I would stick with Bernardo Silva for now and bring Phil Foden on with 15, 20 minutes to go, depending on the circumstances of the game, of course. But I would probably bring Foden on. I'm going to go with Haaland up top in this situation. I'm hoping he's all right mentally. Yeah, I feel for the guy. I mean, it's a tough one to call, isn't it? And of course you forgive him if he's not okay to play. I'm not sure what we do if he isn't. Foden plays, doesn't he? I think you have to start Foden if Haaland isn't playing. But I'm going to go with Haaland with the assumption that he's okay. I'm going to go with Jeremy Doku on the left and Savinho on the right. I would prefer to see them the other way, but we saw that in the Chelsea game, first game of the season. Savinho started on the left and Doku started on the right. We'll have to wait and see which side they start, but those are the two wingers that I'd go for. In terms of Brentford, Mark Flecken. Oh, what a save from fucking Flecken. Piss off. Mark Flecken. Ethan Pinnock in the middle for them. And then who have we got alongside? Christopher Ayer, who is a big bumbling, dangly streak of piss. Like, that's a bit harsh. A bit harsh. He's not a streak of piss, but he's a big, bumbling, dangly. We saw that at the Etihad. I've seen him make mistakes. He's big. He seems clumsy. Do you know what I mean? I'm not convinced by him at all. I feel like there's a mistake in him that we can absolutely make the most of. Nathan Collins on as well, alongside Ethan Pinnock. But I imagine it's going to be a back five predominantly, with Mads Rorslev being as a right wing back, predominantly emphasis on the back, considering you're at the Etihad. And then Keane Lewis Potter, if I can find him, will be left wing back for them, who's been playing reasonably well for them. In midfield, I'm going to go with Damsgaard in the absence of Matthias Jensen, and then Christopher Norgard in front of Ethan Pinnock. And who else is it? Who else have we got in that midfield? Vitaly Janelt alongside Christopher Norgard. And then the two danger men, of course, that we absolutely... they do worry me. They've got speed. They've got ability to find the back of the net. They're both good goal scorers. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous opposition, these two. And Johan Wieser and Brian Mbuemo. I always think of Kinder Bueno, and it always makes me hungry thinking of that name. But that is my predicted starting 11s for both Manchester City and Brentford. I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 to Manchester City. I'm not going to go aggressive with the scoreline because I think Brentford have done reasonably well against us. I would take the 0. I would take a 1-0. I really want a clean sheet. That's what I want to see. I think if we can start being that team that's hard to break down, knowing full well that we're the best goal scorers in the league, as of now anyway, certainly as of late, we are the best goal scorers, and I think that will probably continue. If we can just shore it up at the back, there's no two ways about it that we win this league, and I just want to see clean sheets. I don't want to see that Ipswich moment where they go 1-0 up. I don't want to see any of that. I want to see a nice solid performance where I'm sure we'll concede the odd chance here and there, but I just want to see solidity. Do you know what I mean? Like, chances few and far between for Brentford, and we should dominate this game ultimately, but I just want that clean sheet. So I'm going to go 2-0 to Manchester City. Get your predictions in the comments below. Don't forget to hit this, give this video a like, and hit the subscribe button if you are new. Come and join me for the watch along, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical City now.